Right, today after work is wet day, so let's see if I can butch that. It doesn't want to work without electricity. There you go. She's through. Ta-da! Concrete breaker, jackhammer. We had 2 days of rain. It was hard this morning as well. End of August. Unbelievable. But sky is looking promising. I think I'm having I have enough parts to start putting it together. So first going to prepare this flange to sit back on there, and then we can fit water pump, connect all the hoses, alternator and so on. I tried to find replacement this section of the hose. They're 2 different diameters, one diameter on the flange, one on a water pump. I don't know why they reduced it, so you can't just use one same diameter all the way through hose. You have to get one that's basically like a reducing hose. And all these shops around that I looked, they don't sell. So I didn't try main dealer, but I had a second thought on this hose, and it's actually looking fairly flexible and sturdy, so I'm going to risk it and keep it on. So we got this old O-ring in here, so I'm just going to pick that out. Like that. I got obviously a replacement one. Scrape this seat a little bit. Then with a brass top wire brush, clean up as much as I can from there. Do the same thing on the engine block. Annoyingly, the wrong type of coolant has been used, so I will have to flush this engine thoroughly a few times. Now, to prep this surface, I got like a worn out 180 paper and a block wood, flat block wood, and then just going to gently, with even pressure, just going to flatten this flange. You can see it's not actually flat, as I'm taking material around the outer edge. On inner edge, it's just this little rim, inner rim that is taking off. Rest of it is still way below. I actually wonder why they do that. It's probably to ensure that compression is given to the gasket itself rather than this part of the flange here. Possibly. So I'm not gonna go mad on it. That's all I'm gonna do. Just like that. Okay. Now these two bolts that hold the flange that I put back in so I don't lose them. Just take them off. I'm only doing light sanding, so I'm not actually going to deform this shape, this cast iron. Just going to take all the dirt off. Let's see if I got blade. Now there's still some water there. I tried to rinse this coolant out, but there's still some water there now. So I'm just going to get my compressed air gun and try to blow that out so I keep this joint dry. So now this is my new O-ring. and all it's been cleaned and dried out. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of silicone grease. Not much left in here. There is. Don't need much. Feels like a tight fit, which is always good. Just gonna coat a little bit, just a little bit, and just run it with my finger around. Little bolts. Place it on and tighten up. I don't know what's the torque setting on this. I just tighten it up tight, but not too tight so it doesn't strip anything. You don't want bolts to snap. You don't want it to leak, you just want it to be tight. So finger tight both sides, and then just tighten them up. I think that's tight enough. Now let's get these other bolts off. New water pump on. Now what I like to do on joints with hoses, I like to spray a bit of silicone spray. Please someone tell me if I'm doing this wrong or not. They've been doing it for a long time. So I believe it always helps because it makes everything slide nice and easy. Don't have to force anything. There you go. That's on. So that hose is on and that hose is on. So I can put these. I can put 3 bolts on, all apart from the long one. That one is going to hold the alternator. And that is size 13. I'll just put this one on just to keep it, make sure it's all in line. Oops. Again, you want it tight, but you don't want it too tight. You don't want to strip anything. Okay. Put these clips back on, hose clips. Now I can fit alternator back on. Before I actually do the bolts, I need to do electrical connections. So I got power cable. Let's get everything finger tight first. Then I got a signal cable. So, replacement belt, auxiliary belt, didn't arrive, and I'll put the old one back on. I mean, it's good, it doesn't have any cracks, any defects that I can visually see or feel. So I'm going to put it on until I get replacement one, and then I'll just replace it again. So it's just route it around. It literally goes around crankshaft pulley, around I'll probably do it this way, underneath the tensioner, and then just touching water pump, then on the down the bottom on AC pump. So let's try to see that now. So the crankshaft, it goes underneath the tensioner, over the alternator, touching water pump, and then AC. Now one thing always makes me like think it's really just marginally or like a tangentially going over the water pump pulley. It's very scary that way. I like it when it goes sort of a bit more round, like on the AC one. See, like when AC one goes at least 90 degrees over the pulley, not just touching one side. But I suppose it's all about forces and tension that goes around it. So AC takes more force and you need to have more contact with the belt. Crankshaft pulley transferring the most force over it, so it's got like almost 180 degrees around it. Don't know if it can be seen. 180 degrees around the pulley, contact with the belt. Alternator as well, it's got probably 120, 130 degrees, whilst water pump, because it's probably least resistance on it, it's got very small contact. Well, I hope that's the way, not just a factory mistake when they designed this engine. Now to release tensioner, I got my 3/8 ratchet in a square hole of the tensioner. Now water pipe. See if I can get that screw from underside. Yes. There you go. That's done. Look at the screw. How much of force is actually on that tensioner. I think next time I'll use a steel screw rather than brass one, just for safety reasons. Now, regards to this section here that had loads of oil sediment, it was very hard to see exactly where the oil was coming from. It could have been various places. I mean, one of them is here. It's where the dipstick tube enters the block. That's got an O-ring in there. It could be there that is coming out. It could be top of the dipstick. Could be rocker cup gasket or rocker cover gasket, and it's passing there. So many different things. Now, really, without stripping all of this, wouldn't be able to find. So my idea of doing this is I'm going to, well, what I did, I cleaned it all up, degreased it, and I'm gonna leave it and monitor it, because if I start getting fresh oil on it, I will be able, well, hopefully it will be easier able to see where it's coming and where not, because at the moment it's really hard, it's hard to see.